Once upon a time, there was a young man who worked in a large factory. His daily tasks were exhausting, requiring precision, skill, and patience. Fortunately, he had a mentor, an experienced technician who was always willing to guide him. This mentor not only taught him technical knowledge, but also passed down valuable principles for work and life. Speak less, do more, and above all, never stop training and improving your skills. The young man took every lesson to heart, remembering each word his teacher had said. Day after day, year after year, he worked diligently and quietly, contributing to the smooth operation of the factory. He never complained, never bragged, and never sought attention. He believed that if he followed his mentor's advice, one day his efforts would surely be recognized. Time went by, and 10 years passed in the blink of an eye. The old mentor eventually retired, and by then, the young man had become a highly skilled technician. He mastered every part of the factory's operations and handled tasks without making mistakes. Yet, despite dedicating his youth to the factory, he remained in the same position, earning nearly the same low wage as when he first began. Meanwhile, his colleagues, many with far less experience and skill, were promoted one after another. They rose to higher positions with better pay while he continued working quietly in the background. The unfairness weighed heavily on his heart, making him increasingly gloomy and robbing him of joy in his work. Not knowing where to find answers, he finally decided to visit his old mentor, the one who had guided him in the early days. When they met, the old man immediately noticed the sadness on his face and asked gently, "You don't seem happy. What troubles you?" The young man sighed deeply, then poured out his heart. He explained that for years he had followed every instruction, always silent, always focused, never complaining, never comparing. He believed he had completed every task well and mastered every skill required in the factory. Yet the outcome was bitter. Those with less experience and ability were promoted, while he remained stuck in place, his income barely higher than when he was an apprentice. At this point, the young man stopped, his sad eyes searching his teacher's face for a glimmer of hope. He waited for an explanation, or perhaps a new direction, that could lead him out of the frustration that had haunted him for so long. The old mentor paced slowly around the small room. After listening carefully, he nodded and asked, "Are you certain that you have become indispensable to the factory?" The young man answered immediately with confidence, "Yes, I am sure. No one else in the factory understands every process and technique the way I do." The old man studied him for a moment, then smiled gently and said, "If that is the case, I have some advice. Tomorrow, take a day off. Use any reason you like. Give yourself some rest, and also see what happens when you are not there." The young man was surprised by such an unusual suggestion. He had never considered taking time off, because for the past 10 years, he believed showing up every single day was the true measure of dedication. Yet the more he thought about it, the more sense it made. In the end, he agreed to follow his teacher's advice. The next day, he submitted a leave request. With a mixture of anxiety and curiosity, he left the factory for the first time in years. Part of him feared his absence might cause problems, but another part hoped it would bring him an answer. Indeed, when he returned the following day, something unexpected had happened. The manager immediately called him into the office. The manager's face was tense, but his eyes held respect. "Do you know? Yesterday was complete chaos. Without you, problems piled up everywhere. Issues you normally solve with ease left everyone else clueless. The production line stalled, progress was delayed. Only then did people realize just how important you are to this factory." After a pause, the manager continued, "Therefore, we have decided to promote you to senior technician. This is not only recognition of your years of dedication, but also encouragement for you to keep contributing your best." Hearing this, the young man was deeply moved. Gratitude filled his heart for his old mentor, who had shown him such wisdom. He realized an important truth. Sometimes, simply working hard in silence is not enough. Others only recognize your value when they experience what it is like without you. From that day on, he believed he had discovered the secret to success. He convinced himself that whenever he felt unappreciated, all he had to do was take a day off, and things would soon turn in his favor. After his promotion, The young man grew more confident in this so-called secret. Whenever he felt his efforts were undervalued or believed he deserved more, he resorted to the same solution: take a day off. And indeed, each time he was absent, the factory struggled, and when he returned, he was met with praise, better treatment, and sometimes even additional benefits. As time passed, this became his shortcut to recognition. He was no longer patient, as he once had been, but calculating instead. Just take time off at the right moment, and success would follow. At first, it seemed to work, but gradually, his frequent absences became a habit. His colleagues grew annoyed, and management began to see him as unreliable. One morning, he arrived at the factory as usual, but when he swiped his employee card, he was shocked to find it no longer worked. Thinking it must be a mistake, he rushed to human resources. There, he received devastating news. His employment had been terminated. Stunned, he could hardly believe it. Why? He thought. Didn't I do exactly what my teacher told me? Didn't I prove that the factory couldn't function without me? His heart sank under the weight of disappointment and hurt. Only one question echoed in his mind. Where did I go wrong? Unable to find an answer, he decided to return to his old mentor, desperate to understand why he had lost everything despite doing what he thought was right. The old teacher listened quietly, his expression calm. When the young man finished his story, the mentor shook his head and said, "You did not truly follow my advice. You only learned half of the lesson." The young man froze, his chest tightening. He quickly asked, "But teacher, didn't I do as you said? I took a day off, and people realized my worth. That led to my promotion. Where did I go wrong?" The mentor looked deep into his troubled eyes and explained, "You were right to see that a light bulb that is always on goes unnoticed. Only when it goes out do people realize its importance. But you ignored the second half of the lesson. Do you know what happens to a light bulb that goes off too often?" The young man remained silent, unease growing inside him. A bulb that flickers or turns off too frequently will inevitably be replaced, no matter how bright it shines. Because what people need most is not surprise, but reliability. You were too eager to apply only the first half, forgetting the essence of the second: consistency. The teacher paused briefly, then continued, "Life is no different. The loved ones around you, your family, your friends, are often taken for granted, like a light that is always shining. Do not wait until the day they are gone to realize how much they mean to you. Be grateful for them now, while they are still by your side. And as for yourself, don't allow others to take you for granted, but also don't let yourself become unreliable and unpredictable." Placing a hand on his student's shoulder, the old man concluded, "True success lies in balance. Work diligently, remain dependable, but also show your value in subtle ways. When you find that balance, life will reward you with fairness in return."